Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And tonight with me, I have a wonderful panel, friends to the show and friends of mine. We've got Rachel Kolb. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, good to be back.
Welcome back. And Matt Roarens. You're a stranger to the show, I think, right?
I'm new. You've never seen me before.
Well, guys, welcome. And we have a pretty big show tonight. So we'll get right down to it with pandemic picks. What are you guys watching this week, Rachel?
So exciting thing this week, I watched Goodfellas for the first time ever.
Ooh.
Classic.
It was a really wonderful night.
Oh my God. That might be, tied with Godfather as the greatest mafia tough guy movie ever made.
Mhm.
So many things to talk about with that movie. It's such a great.
It's definitely like, there would be no Sopranos without that movie.
Yeah.
That movie definitely paved the way for that.
And no analyze this or analyze that too.
No, definitely. Yeah.
So wow, first impressions, Rachel. I'm very curious.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like actually getting to see Joe Pesci like doing that role and knowing the fact that he did Home Alone, I can appreciate that even more. And I've heard like people talk about moments from it, so I knew things like spoiler alert
Yeah.
that his character dies, but the way that he dies is just so sudden,
right,
and so brutal that like even I was like, I think that it's going to happen, and then it just happens so fast.
Yeah.
That it still was a surprise to me, and the music choices.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really.
When we did that for Call Cafe, and as you know, I make playlists for Call Cafe. That was actually the first movie I made 2 playlists for.
Oh wow.
Usually back then, this was like when we first started, I was only making 1. This is kind of the movie that ruined me, that made me like be like, well, I can't just do 1. So I made like an early years one. I mean, so it was like a 50s, early 60s, and then a late 60s, 70s playlist. So it was like pretty cool because it was like there were 2 different ones. And then I got crazy later on, and there'd be like 5 or 6. Sometimes I think when I did Boogie Nights, there were like 11 playlists or something.
That reminds me of back when Forrest Gump came out. They came out with a soundtrack double disc, and they did a score from Alan Silvestri. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool, Rachel. I'm happy you finally saw this gem. It's a cinematic masterpiece, and congrats.
And it was kind of the perfect watch also this past week because I've mentioned him a couple times before on the show, but Patrick Willems did a video about movie music and about the notion of diegetic versus non-diegetic music, and talked about how Scorsese is really one of the best when it comes to that. So
he just scores films with popular music, and it's I love his soundtracks. I probably like his soundtracks more than I like most of his movies. I mean, I think his movies are great, but like I definitely think overall Goodfellas is probably one of my favorite films of his.
Yeah.
That one and King of Comedy are like my top 2 favorites.
I'm thinking in terms of soundtracks, I'm thinking Casino and Taxi Driver being up there too.
Oh yeah, I mean his soundtracks are always killer.
Yeah.
Bring Out the Dead, even movies that no one even heard of, have the best soundtracks ever.
Oh my God, Bring Out the Dead. That's a great movie. Bring Out. It's very depressing, but it's a fantastic.
I love that movie.
Performance. He goes all out in that one, so it's awesome.
It's kind of why I was so excited about Vinyl when he did that show, because I was like, oh, a music show, great, this is perfect for him.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing that I have been watching, I haven't watched the second episode yet, but I did watch the first episode of Allen versus Pharaoh.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the Woody Allen multi-part documentary on HBO Max.
I started episode 1, and it's really illuminating. It's like very educational. I knew a little bit about. I mean, I knew obviously about Soon Yi and that whole mess. but this goes much deeper than that, and it's just tragic how
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
screwed up this
I have yet to delve into that, but
yeah,
it's on my to-do list.
definitely. Cool, Rachel. Mr. Roran, what are you watching this week? I know you're always watching something.
Always watching something. Let's see. I just I did both first 2 seasons of Darkwing Duck and doing the Disney stuff. Then I took a step back to go into the mid 80s doing TV shows that were produced by Disney Studios. So I'm starting off with Wild Side, which was a Western show that was on, I think, ABC. Meg Ryan's in it
Huh.
in 85.
Interesting.
Yeah, Wayne from the Wonder Years was in one of the episodes. It's actually pretty fun, actually. There were only 8 episodes of it, but that's pretty cool. And then after that is Golden Girls. So I'm excited to rewatch that because that's a show that I absolutely loved and I used to watch it every week. And I definitely have caught many episodes in syndication, but I've never done like a rewatch. So that's what's coming up next is doing some Golden Girls.
Nice.
I started watching another tangent quest of mine is the movies of Middle Earth.
Okay.
So I just finished. I did the 1977 Hobbit, the Rankin Bass cartoon. Then I did the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, and then the Rankin Bass Return of the King, aka The Hobbit 2. Frodo. But it was enjoyable. And then sometime relatively soon, in the next week or so, I will do the extended trilogy of Lord of the Rings. It's been a while. I don't think I've rewatched them since they came out on DVD, since they first put the extended out.
Wow.
I'm kind of excited. It's been a long time. And then I've never seen. I only saw the first 2 Hobbit movies. I never saw the third one.
I never saw the third one either.
Yeah.
That second one just killed me.
Yeah, so I was just like, well, I'll get through that too, eventually. And
So
then
you're going deep into Middle Earth. This is
they're actually this week I'm watching 3 like foreign Middle Earth films. There's like one Russian one, like one Norwegian one. So I'm gonna check those out, see how those are. I think they're both The Hobbit. So and then later this year the Amazon has that series coming out.
Yeah.
Which is I think takes place before The Hobbit.
Okay.
So
busy man. Busy.
Yep.
Wow, your TV is getting a lot of attention. Like, yeah, don't wear that out. But I just realized I didn't even start off the show by mentioning the Golden Globes. Real quick, guys, what were your impressions? What were your takeaways, Rachel?
I'm still reeling from the fact that Promising Young Woman took home nothing.
Yeah, it is a great film, but at least it was nominated. Maybe.
Yeah, which, I mean, granted, the Golden Globes aren't always the best predictor for the rest of the award season, and I'm still getting over the fact that Da 5 Bloods was not nominated and that Delroy was not nominated also.
It was amazing.
Yeah, he was absolutely incredible. The fact that Jared Leto was nominated in that category.
Really?
Yeah, for The Little Things.
I mean,
it's like, that movie wasn't that good.
Yeah.
The movie was like the most mediocre. Like
the best thing of that movie. He was the best part of that thing.
I don't even know if there was a best part of that movie. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like that movie made me just so disappointed in Rami Malek. Cause I'm like, all right, like I know you're more than this one note Mr. Robot guy. Why the hell are you doing a cop role? Like, I have a family. I'm just Mr. Robot character.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a family and a heart. It's like, no, you don't.
I
Yeah.
feel like nobody was well served in that movie though.
No.
Like even Denzel.
Denzel sucked.
Oh, he phoned it in.
Yeah, it was like
He probably he could have done that through Zoom. I think
that was
he.
probably the most disappointing movie this year so far. I mean,
know.
I was like looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, like this cast, sure,
Yeah.
it's good. And then it's just like I couldn't believe how just mediocre it was.
Yeah.
Like
I
it was
would-
like a bad Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah, and I was also disappointed that Mank did not get as much love as it should have, because I think David Fincher deserved an award for that alone. And yeah, that was just disappointing for me, as well as Promising Young Woman. Nomadland it's a very good film. I don't think it deserved the top prize, to be honest.
It's on my list to watch this week.
Yeah.
So
It's a movie I enjoyed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's a beautiful watch,
Yeah.
but as far as anything else goes, I don't really think it had anything else. It was
Yeah.
just like a beautiful film.
Yeah.
It wasn't captivating. The story was like barely there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but
Frances McDormand she carried that film all the way.
definitely. I mean, if it was anyone else, you wouldn't even notice the movie.
Exactly. So
Just
better one
that,
defense.
you know, everything she touches is like gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I ended up not watching the Globes, so all I know about the Globes really is everything I saw you post. So I got all my information from you.
I heard something about that Jason Sudeikis might have been high during his.
Yeah, his eyes were red,
And
and
he's wearing a sweatsuit.
he was rambling. It was just it was cringeworthy.
Yeah, well,
Bad.
him and Olivia Wilde. How long have they been split up, or what's the deal with that? Is it maybe just that he's having
I
a
don't
rough go of it? It made
Maybe.
me really sad because he definitely deserved the win. I've had a chance to watch more of Ted Lasso, and he's fantastic.
I've
in
heard
it.
Here it's great. I haven't started it
Yeah,
yet.
it's on that's on my list.
Sudeikis!
It will be like a ray of sunshine in your day watching that show. It's just it makes you happy. It just
Does it-
like it warms your heart.
Does it have like an Arrested Development feel, or
No, it's
funny?
much like if you've seen any of Bill Lawrence's shows, like Scrubs.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
that sort of vibe. It's like Scrubs meets Schitt's Creek, like that sort of feel.
Awesome.
It's like the
Bill
exact,
Lawrence. Also, it's Bill Lawrence?
yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. Makes
Yeah.
me want to see it even more.
Yeah, Eric actually, my husband came up with the best comparison for it. He said, if Veep is all about coming up with the best ways to cut down people and to just eviscerate them to their core, Ted Lasso is the exact opposite of that. Like it is a person that goes through life just finding the ways like to just bring out the best in everyone around them. So
Sounds very uplifting and positive, and wow.
yeah, and also very funny.
Okay.
Yeah, without sacrificing the funny.
All right. That is on our list, I'm assuming.
Yeah, my brother's been like, you gotta watch it. And I'm like, I'll get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Sudeikis fan. I just don't really get his humor I mean,
Is
I
it
kinda
is
get
it. You tried to call him? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, he's I don't know. Maybe I just haven't seen the right Sudeikis project.
I think that this might be the right Sudeikis project for you.
Okay, cool.
I think the pairing up of him with Bill Lawrence was inspired.
Okay. Very good, guys. So let's get into the show. So we've got 3 reviews, and then there's an extra review that of a movie I saw by myself due to some technical glitches. The first is called Stealing School, and it's a smaller film. It's a drama with some hints of humor here and there. And it tells the story of a young Chinese Canadian tech prodigy who is accused of plagiarism at school in her college, and is basically confronted with a tribunal to basically try to get her either kicked out of school or find out if the plagiarism claims are false. And this film, you know, it relied heavily on the performances. It really basically took place in one setting, this small kind of classroom, courtroom type setting. And I think that the performances were strong, especially Jonathan Keltz, who plays basically the prosecutor in this trial, who is trying to get this young girl kicked out of school. Other than that, the story was bland, in my opinion. I was not impressed by much else other than the performances. Like I said, the story needed some work. This could have been a stage play. It might have worked better that way. And it's on the radar, but that's really just because it's a good looking film with decent performances, and that's about it, guys. How do you feel about this, Matt?
It was so Canadian. Like, I was watching it and I'm just like, is this Canadian?
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it felt like a really long episode of Degrassi, and I'm all about that. Every character in the movie had their own shit going on. I like that. So it like kept me entertained, because it's kind of like, oh, but what about this person? Oh, well, this person. So I definitely enjoyed that, and it's definitely a lot more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be at first. I like a lot of the interaction between the characters. I just enjoyed it. I think everyone in there did really well.
Good take.
I give it a thumbs up.
All right. Rachel, I'm curious, your thoughts?
I actually have to agree with Matt. Like, I really did enjoy this story. I do agree with you that it does feel very much like a stage play. Particularly the fact that it mostly takes place in one location, being at the actual tribunal. Yeah. There were some moments of genuine, like, big laughs for me as well in this movie, particularly at a very tense moment when a janitor shows up, takes one look at the goings on, and just goes, "I'm out." No, I thought the performances were all pretty, like, well, mainly the two protagonist, antagonist, depending on your perspective on the thing. I thought that they were the most interesting of the bunch. I did like the way that they framed it so that each character has their own motivations coming into it. Like, thinking about the politics of the school and the visuals of, that we're having this tribunal for a female Asian Canadian student, and that they're like, we don't want to look like the American schools. We don't have issues with race. We're Canadians. We're nice. Like, that especially rung very true for me, and particularly with how much conversation there has been lately about the rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans here in America. Yeah. And also, of course, the ongoing disparities gender-wise within computer science. And I thought it had some nice twists to it. I kind of wondered going in if there was going to be some sort of reveal at the end about, did she do it? Did she not do it? No spoilers, whatever. But like, there were some confrontations and things that did surprise me. I think I actually did gasp at a particular moment when one character's anger led to a physical altercation, and I was not like, I was kind of waiting for that to happen, but when it did surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, again, the acting was really solid, but I don't know. Something was missing for me. I don't know what that was, but this movie...
It's Canadians.
Do I have a thing again? No, I'm not anti-Canadian. I don't know. This movie was just missing, like, this vital element that would make...
Americans.
No. I don't know. It's on my radar, but it's like, it's very faint on the radar for me. I don't know. I'll say see it if you are remotely interested in the director or any of the actors in it, because again, that's what really stole the show for me.
Yeah. Or also, I would say if you're interested in kind of the politics of higher education,
Yeah,
and like especially there's a conversation within it about the value of a liberal arts education, and like it's like who's getting more out of the deal? Is it the student or is it the college?
right,
Like how much like college costs these days.
right. If they emphasize that theme,
Mm.
to make that theme more prevalent throughout, I think it would have been better. But again, this kind of fell flat for me. Maybe it requires a second viewing, so we will see. Matt, see it or skip it?
I say see it.
All right. And Rachel, I assume see it.
Yeah, I say see it if nothing else for just the most frustrating, in my mind, antagonist that I've seen on screen in a while. That I just honestly wanted to reach through the screen and smack the crap out of them.
I mean, even like the actual teacher, the professor is like shut the fuck up. Like,
He's like not even
I
there.
didn't say like I didn't tell you to do this. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment where she goes, "Are you quite finished?"
Yeah, there are some funny moments, but yeah, I'll give it another shot. But yeah, again, not impressed. All right, guys. So second review, we're making good time so far. This one's not as joyful, not as uplift, not as positive anyway. By any stretch, it's called My Zoe, and this is directed, starring, and written by Julie Delpy. You probably know her from the Before and After, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, all those wonderful romantic dramedies. Julie Delpy plays a divorced mom whose daughter suffers a bit of an accident and is soon put, basically, she's goes into a coma, and a lot goes on after that. I don't want to really spoil it because it's kind of shocking, kind of like out there what happens in this film. Um, most of the film deals with the mother caring for her daughter and trying to get the best care for her. So she goes to I think it's Germany. No, sorry, Russia,
Mhm.
to find a way to basically save her daughter, or at least save herself. And it's just a very powerful drama. It's a moving story, and it got me a little teary-eyed because it was beautifully done, so tragic. But Julie Delpy, she wore a lot of hats in this production,
Yeah.
and I am impressed by what she's done. She's a fantastic actress of I think she's part French, and everything I've seen her involved in has been just wonderful. She's a great actress, and here she shows she's a great writer director too. So this is definitely on my radar. It's one of the sadder films to start the year off in, but it's one of the stronger films too. So guys, what did you think, Rachel?
So this movie basically goes from Marriage Story to Rabbit Hole to an episode of Black Mirror, and I like that. I'm on board with that. I like a good, moral conundrum.
Mm,
The question of what would you do in that situation, and what would you sacrifice, to um, at least hold on to part of someone you love.
yeah. How far would you go, Matt? How far would you go?
I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you only know when you're there,
Hmm.
when you're in that zone, and it's yeah. I mean, what a film. Just like the situations, and I mean, it was like overwhelming,
Mhm.
because it was like we were, discussing earlier in the year, films like Rabbit Hole, all these, how I love these films,
Hmm.
films about tragic loss and stuff like that.
Pieces of a Woman was another one.
Pieces of a
Yeah,
Woman. Yeah.
yeah.
That was, yeah.
And yeah, like you said, like how it goes from Marriage Story into Black Mirror. I love that it kind of went science fiction-y, even though it's pretty much science fiction-y.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like you're like, yeah, this is possible, probably. The things they do. So it's just a matter of ethics
Yeah.
and how far you'd be willing to go in ethically wise in a situation like that. And I just thought the whole film was outstanding.
Yeah. And guys, watching at home and on your device, it's a very powerful film, and the ethics that we're discussing, we don't mean to sound like vague and cryptic, but we really don't want to spoil this movie for you because it is a very, very important conversation.
It's very hard to not spoil this movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like I went into this movie not knowing anything about it,
Yep.
except that it was written, directed, and starred Julie Delpy. And I was like, I'm in. And then once I watched it, it was. I mean, that's like one of the best things about not knowing about a movie is when you watch a movie like this, not knowing, and you're like, oh man, oh man, oh man. Like, there's nothing better than that feeling, and it's a feeling that pretty much the internet has destroyed for us.
Yeah.
And it's you can barely sit through anything without knowing. Like, I mean, I will say, like, 70s and 80s movie trailers definitely ruin movies. A, they're 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
B, they always have the ending in the trailer. Like, why? But I mean, the thing is, we weren't so bombarded with trailers back then because we only saw them at the movies.
Yep.
Whereas now, you're seeing them on TV. You're seeing them, on the as commercials.
Yeah, you're seeing like the entire synopsis just listed online.
Yeah, and
they reveal way too much in these teasers.
Speaking of, it's so funny. Sometimes you've seen a trailer so many times, you're pretty sure you saw the movie.
Oh yeah.
Which not to skip ahead, but when I went to see Tom and Jerry with my kids, they showed the trailer for Peter Rabbit 2, and we saw that trailer so many times last year because it was supposed to come out for Easter, and then Easter never happened. But my my 9-year-old turned to me during the trailer and was like, didn't we already see this movie? I'm like, no, we just saw the trailer 1,000 times and it never came out. But it feels like that sometimes. Like, you see so much, especially when they do like different cuts of the trailer. There'll be like 5 versions, and it's even more of the movie. It's like, gotta calm down. It's good to go into movies not knowing things and being surprised.
With My Zoe, for me it was just the name, Julie Delpy. I was sold. Then I read the synopsis and I was even more sold. I was very intrigued by that. And I have to say that this is one of the best movies of the year so far. And it is just, like I said, very powerful, gripping, fantastic performances. Also, good performance from Daniel Bruhl, who I've seen him in a number of things. He's a relatively young actor, and I've only known about him for the last maybe 3-4 years. And everything I've seen him in has been really top notch. So just his presence in this movie it really adds some of the quality to the overall proceedings.
Yeah, and Richard Armitage as well. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Him. I don't really know his work too well, but yeah, he was well cast in this, I'd say. So, My Zoe, I can't praise this movie enough. The more I think about it, the more I respect it and love it.
Yeah.
And it's really a really quality film.
Yeah, there is actually a line from it that's been sticking with me, and fortunately it's not a spoiler, but they say I wish I had never been born.
Yeah.
You know what scene I'm talking about when I say that, but when she says, I wish I had never been born, and just the feeling that you're feeling that much pain that it's like that you
Yeah.
would give away all of it to
Yeah.
just never feel that again.
And
Ugh.
yeah, and Julie Delpy sells it. I mean, she is perfect in this role. So yeah, I can't think of a better actress. Uh, Also, guys, I wanted to mention for Stealing School, it's currently available on video on demand. And as for My Zoe, this is currently out in select theaters and will be released on demand on May 25th. So, guys, My Zoe, please check it out. It's amazing. It's just a beautiful film. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more film reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6633.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Unger, Unger the Radar. And we are plugging along, guys. These films are some of the most diverse I think we've ever had on this show. So
You say that every week, my friend.
yeah,
Every week it's like, wow, what a mixed bag. These three movies could be more different.
it's ever evolving. All right, so next up we've got Tom and Jerry, now out on HBO Max in select theaters. It's the timeless story of the cat and mouse that have been having an eternal struggle of good and evil, and they hate each other, and they've been around for decades and decades. We love the characters, but I hated this movie. We basically have a Roger Rabbit type situation here, Looney Tunes back in action, where the real world is okay with just having animated animals all over the place, and this is normal to them. We basically we are following Chloe Grace Moretz as kind of a scheming little brat who weasels her way into basically the fanciest hotel in New York City, and basically climbs the corporate ladder, so to speak, and is randomly put in charge of hosting a very posh, high-profile celebrity wedding in the hotel. And at the same exact time, Tom and Jerry are they're chasing each other throughout the hotel, and it is just a ridiculous film. I really did not like this at all. I thought that the hotel story was kind of decent as like a sitcom idea, but to just have Tom and Jerry in the middle of that, it just seemed a little forced, unnecessary. It did not work for me at all. I know that this was sort of an homage to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I think this is a slap in the face, especially to Tom and Jerry and Hanna-Barbera, who created them. It did not work for me. There were weird references to other Warner Brothers films like Batman. There was this movie, it frustrates me because I had slightly high hopes. I was hoping for another Roger Rabbit, but I was let down. I don't know about you guys. Rachel.
So I watched this movie, and the same week I finally watched Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu is the Who Framed Roger Rabbit successor, I feel like. And if anything, it's funny that I watched Tom and Jerry first, because the whole time that I was watching Detective Pikachu, I kept saying, this is what Tom and Jerry did wrong. How did they get this wrong?
my
Like, there's so many things. Like the animation style, I was not a huge fan of. Like there were also weird moments. Like there's a scene where they're out in the rain and their fur gets wet, and they're kind of trying to do the cartoony style, but then also like kind of realistic with their fur being wet. It just did not work at all.
Yeah.
Um, and the plot line with the hotel and some of the scenes that happen with it, particularly about how do you know if you're marrying the right person, like I'm like, who is this scene for? Like, who is this supposed to appeal to? Because this, like, it isn't working on any level for
And who's
anybody, I
30
feel like.
something? No.
And I don't I I'm not the biggest fan of Colin Jost. I don't despise him the way that some people really like make a personality out of despising him, but I don't really understand why he was in this movie.
Yeah, I mean they needed a relatively big name for that role,
They
and
needed someone who could play a super white guy,
yes,
Yeah. I
like
will say
a Connecticut white guy.
yeah,
there were two jokes, I think, in the whole movie that actually did make me laugh. And they kind of came out of nowhere, so it was like the thing that I'm just like, okay, that was really funny. The first one was very early on when they're in the park, and he's playing the piano in the park, and he's got the sunglasses on and pretending to be blind. And there's the moment when he's revealed to not be blind, and they're going, man, that piano playing cat isn't blind. And it's like, it's a cat playing the piano.
Well, the best part of that is they're like, yeah, where it's just like it's like he can play piano. They like any cat playing piano is a normal thing here.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And also the moment when Chloe Moritz's first meeting with Michael Pena and Rob Delaney, who's the head of the hotel, and she asks the fish, and she asks, "Is the fish the head of aquatics?" And Michael Pena just stares at her and goes, "No, he's a goldfish. He doesn't work for the hotel." For whatever reason, like those two jokes, very funny.
Yeah,
and I do like that they actually continue with that fish joke. Actually, has a couple callbacks, so that was interesting.
I thought that this movie looked so expensive, and they like spent so much money on the wrong things. I don't know, maybe affording better writers, a better storyline would have helped things. The animation was gorgeous, it was beautiful, but it was basically a disaster, and it was all over the place. It didn't really know what kind of audience, like I know it was aimed at kids, at families, but yeah, I would never take I don't know if I'd want my kids subjected to this rubbish.
Yeah, it's kind of like the wedding within the movie, that it's like you said about throwing money at the wrong things.
Yep.
And just
Right.
it's like, why'd you do it?
So sad. But yeah, that's Tom and Jerry. I mean, I never really watched Tom and Jerry growing up. I was more of a Looney Tunes guy, but yeah, I don't know why they can't get live action animated movies, the hybrid to work. It seems like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Detective Pikachu, that's a good one. But movies like this, and I keep thinking of Looney Tunes Back in Action, how much of a train wreck that was too.
Yeah, at least the redeeming factors of this film, for me at least, were that they at least went through with making every animal in the movie animated, because there's nothing I hate more than when it's like certain animals are animated but then like the dogs aren't, like where it's like oh okay, like it's like either do them all or don't do them at all. I mean, that was like a saving grace, I guess. I mean, it kind of doesn't stray far from Tom and Jerry as characters. That was kind of nice. It's just that a lot of the film was just very unnecessary.
Yeah, and there's not enough to the characters of Tom and Jerry to sustain a full-length movie.
Yeah,
definitely not.
This is really the Chloe Grace Moretz show, and Tom and Jerry are just mere guest stars in it.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't so much about them as it is about this wedding going on in the hotel and her being a grifter. Like, that's pretty much it, and they just happen to be there.
Right.
I mean, also, it's like one of those things too. Like, I really liked Rob Delaney in it, but I like him in everything.
He was one of the weaker elements, I think. He was barely in it. He had like...
I mean, yeah, I wish he was in there more.
Yeah.
But I mean, I usually enjoy him and Michael Pena in anything they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think they were underutilized in this.
I'd say Michael Pena was the best actor in this.
Yes,
Definitely.
I would agree.
Yeah. And Chloe Grace, she did a decent job, but
yeah,
you know, that could have just been any young, cute actress, you know? So, yeah. So that's Tom and Jerry. And if you want to subject your kids to some torture, check it out.
Well, my kids all loved it. So
did they really? Okay.
So,
all right.
Kids don't know any better. Kids will love anything you bring them to. That's how it is.
I know, it's sad. But you know, thankfully they have you, Matt, as their dad to lead them, to guide them in their cinematic journey.
Yeah. Hopefully this weekend will be a better result. We're gonna go see Raya and the Last Dragon. Opens on Friday.
Yes.
So we're doing that this Friday, and hopefully that'll be a much better experience.
Yeah. Well, pretty much anything Disney, as you know, Matt, is a guaranteed entertainment. So cool. All right, guys. So Tom and Jerry is currently out now in select theaters and is also streaming on HBO Max. So there's that. And now, guys, I just want to talk real quick about a movie that sadly you guys didn't get to see. I wanted you to see, especially you, Rachel, because you're a dog person. This movie's called Stray, and it is a lovely little documentary that follows 3 stray dogs in Istanbul, Turkey. Basically, it's a day in the life of these dogs, and basically, it's weird. The camera is at their level, so it's basically like at 2 feet off the ground, and it's a shaky cam too. So we are like, you feel like you're there with the dog. You are the dog with the dogs.
So it's Blair Witch Project for dogs.
Pretty much, but not as scary. It's a really nice film. It's directed by Elizabeth Lowe, and I give her all the credit because the camera work is phenomenal. There isn't really much of a story. We follow these 3 dogs, one of which gets deeper into this life of like these homeless people, these homeless teenagers actually, who are also glue sniffers. So they're basically drug addicts, and this poor dog is like welcomed into their world. And yeah, it's really just life from this dog's point of view, and it's really beautifully shot. And guys, if you ever get a chance, it's relatively short too. It's called Stray, and I really recommend it. It's out now in select theaters as well, and also in virtual cinemas. So check that out. Also,
it sounds a bit like a kinder, gentler White God. Did you ever see White God?
Oh my gosh, yeah, wow, that was a few years ago.
Oh man.
I just remember like an army of dogs, basically how they kind of wander from street to street. They're dirty, it's night and it's day. They're just trying to survive. I think that's really what the movie's about. It's about survival.
Oliver and Company.
Yeah.
Oh.
What should I worry?
Oliver and Company live action. No, hybrid. Hybrid.
Yeah.
where the humans are animated. All right. So, okay, so also coming attractions for March 12th, we've got a couple of decent films here. This film I'm hoping to review next week. It's called Cherry, and it is a crime drama starring our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Tom Holland, who has post-traumatic stress disorder and becomes a serial bank robber. So it's also got Bill Skarsgård of It chapters 1 and 2. It's also got Damon Wayans Jr., Thomas Lennon, and Jack Rayner. So that's an interesting cast, and I'm very curious. I have not seen anything non-Spidey related by Holland. I don't know about you guys. Have you?
I've seen clips of him from the London production of Billy Elliot. I don't know if that counts, but
Oh, that does, definitely. How was he?
I mean, he's quite the talented guy. You can definitely see his dance talent also if you see his lip sync battle performance when he did Umbrella, which it is just incredible.
Okay. And now he's tackling a dramatic thriller, a crime drama. So this should be interesting. Very curious.
I can't think of anything I've seen him in as not an adult, because I guess he's not an adult. But the last thing before he was Spider-Man that I saw him in was The Impossible with Ewan McGregor.
Yes, that's right.
That was a tsunami movie, right?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Which I loved.
Was he Matt Damon's son in that?
Ewan McGregor's son.
Ewan McGregor.
Oh, Ewan McGregor's son. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the two sons. Yeah.
That movie was that was really intense.
But
good.
I'm pretty sure that's the only thing I've seen him in. And he was great in that. That was also like a decade ago. So, but yeah, I have high hopes for him. I think I think he's got some good chops.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty much a perfect Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's probably the most Peter Parker-y of any of the Peter Parkers we've ever gotten. So,
yeah. Because I mean, Toby was a little bland, but I really he is my favorite Toby. He is my
your favorite Toby.
He's my favorite Toby.
Like more than
of all the Tobys. Of all the Tobys in the world, Tobey Maguire, you're my favorite.
He is but Andrew Garfield was more emo. He was kind of cool, too cool for Peter Parker.
Yeah, he definitely struck me as like Peter Parker's not this suave. Come on,
right. But Tom Holland is like right in between. He's like he's pretty perfect.
Dorky, you'd believe that he's into science. Like I don't believe that the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, is into science. I don't get that. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think they each brought what they could to the role, and all three are very unique. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to compare. But,
and none of them were bad. They were all good at what they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, Holland's definitely been my favorite. As a hardcore lifelong Spider-Man fan, like I was saying this to Forrest, I don't remember when or where, maybe just on Facebook, that the Spider-Man voice when I read Spider-Man comics in my head has been replaced, because it used to be the 90s Spider-Man Christopher Barnes.
Okay, Fox.
Who was for the cartoon.
Yeah.
Christopher Daniel Barnes was the Spider-Man voice in my head forever when I read comic books. And now it is Tom Holland.
Wow.
He is my inner Spider-Man voice now.
That's a bold statement, sir.
He replaced a 3 decade long Spider-Man in my head. So
wow, that's quite an impact. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and next up we've got Trust, and this looks like a dramatic thriller. Victoria Justice is in it. Catherine McNamara, In this sexy and twisty ride, New York gallery owner Brooke and her husband Owen each face exceptional temptations with most unexpected results. Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. All right, next up. We've got a sci-fi action movie starring Bruce Willis, and it's called Cosmic Sin. And 7 rogue soldiers launch a preemptive strike against a newly discovered alien civilization in the hopes of ending an interstellar war before it starts.
Armageddon 2.
Yeah. And Luke Wilson is also in it, and Lockman Monroe.
Spoiler alert, Bruce Willis sacrifices himself to save the world.
Yes. Spoiler alert, he saves the world, or an alien world. So it's ridiculous. He's still doing these ridiculous movies.
I kind of wish there was this timeline that we were living in right now where he just did movies like Story of Us. I just want him to just be doing like old man divorce movies. That's all I want from him at this point.
And occasionally do like a Looper, like because that's fun.
We need a Hudson Hawk 2, I think.
Definitely.
Oh man.
Oh God, Bruce, what are you doing? And I recently did a commentary for Die Hard with a Vengeance, and sure. I'll tell you, that was one of his last great action movies. It's sad.
That movie was such a surprise. I'll never forget seeing it because it was like Die Hard, when Die Hard came out, it was incredible. One of the best action movies of all time. And then Die Hard 2 came out, and it was like, oh, that happened. Die Hard 3 came out, and everyone was just like, whatever, who cares? No one cared. And then it was playing in the $2 like theaters, the second wave when they're about to go onto video, and it was playing at the $2 theater. And me and my friends were like, we'll go see it for $2. And it was like, holy crap, this movie's almost even better than Die Hard. Like, it's so much fun. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson really like added this like perfect like complimentary character to John McClane.
Oh man, yeah, the perfect chemistry between those two.
It's amazing.
And they were fresh off of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
though they did not have a scene together in that, but they should have.
Yeah,
I think Die Hard with a Vengeance more than made up for it.
Yeah,
and it was really sad. So 12 years later, Live Free or Die Hard came out, and I was so excited about this because I thought it's gonna be even better than Die Hard with a Vengeance. And it's
how that works.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Which is why to this day I still have not seen that movie.
Okay, my question for both of you: Did either of you ever see this movie? It's called What Just Happened, and it has Bruce Willis playing himself in the movie.
Oh no, I haven't. I've heard about it, but I have not seen it.
The title sounds familiar. I don't think I saw it though.
Yeah, so the movie itself is fine, but there's a couple scenes involving Bruce Willis playing himself, and basically the producers having to talk him into. He's shown up for his most recent movie, and he has this giant Santa beard, like gigantic beard, and like they're trying to convince him, you need to shave it. We can't go forward with filming the movie until you shave it. We have all these people just waiting around. And he's like, what? People aren't going to be able to recognize me under this? They're going to be like, where's my favorite action star? Oh, look, it's right here. It's Bruce Willis. It's like, awesome. I don't know, again, if necessarily it's the best movie, but I think it's kind of worth it to watch those scenes of Bruce Willis kind of poking fun at his...
It's funny. There's a scene in National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 where Bruce Willis plays John McClane in a brief cameo scene. It's really funny.
That's one of those. I mean, that's basically what I was getting at. Was I miss like that comedic Bruce Willis. I mean, Moonlighting was one hell of a TV show. And he is a funny dude, and he's got great timing. And he's he's at like perfect like level of like charismatic and where and I feel like he doesn't use it enough because of this action thing.
Yep.
They kind of like just it's like he got typecast into being an action star when it's like that's not why he was put on this earth.
Right.
Like, he's good at it. Like, I mean, or at least was before it was just about writing and it, cash, just like, okay, like whatever. Like, this is another Die Hard movie.
Before Die Hard, they marketed him as like kind of a romantic leading man.
Yeah.
With Moonlighting and Blind Date.
Blind Date. I mean, what a movie.
Yeah. But I think after the second Die Hard, he was pretty much established as the action hero, go-to action hero. And he's still doing it 30 years later. So, I mean, good for him. But yeah, if he could do more of like a watered down, kind of like another romantic comedy, that would be awesome. Or just like a stressed out dad.
I mean, every once in a while he does like, you were just mentioning that film and, he did like Breakfast of Champions. Like there are films within his catalog that hit that zone, but there's too few.
So we've got Cosmic Sin. That's the latest Bruce Willis adventure. Next up, we've got a horror sci-fi film called Come True. A teenage runaway takes part in a sleep study that becomes a nightmarish descent into the depths of her mind and a frightening examination of the power of dreams. That's a nice description. I like that synopsis. But it seems like a smaller film, so we will see if that'll be reviewed at a later date. And yeah, that's our coming attractions for March 12th, guys. So some decent titles, it seems. We shall see. And yeah, I just wanted to close out with some plugs, guys. Rachel, what's going on?
Not much really going on with me, but you can always find Dobby the house doggo over on Instagram. And I'm thinking maybe I might start up an Instagram for my baking classes.
Do you ever do, or at home, do you do any like movie related treats, dinners?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that having the right food for your moving watching experience can just add a whole other level to it. That's a reason why I really enjoy Nighthawk out in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, I love it. I think I heard that they might be reopening soon, but
that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that. We should do a little food movie show. So we'll figure it out. Yeah. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dinner and a movie, under the radar style. Mr. Roran, any plugs?
Same old. Cult Cafe, home edition, still going strong until we get back into the real world. That's every Saturday night on our Not So Secret Society Cult Cafe page. Yeah, we're almost at a year's worth of films. I think we hit 50 films this year. This last week for home edition. So it's almost at it's been a year mark. So it's pretty crazy.
What about 50? So what are the other 2 weeks? Was that a vacation?
There were 2 weeks that I did not have a show. The first week being the first unsuccessful Raising Arizona screening. And then the second on Halloween, because I was actually working a side gig at a haunt. But besides that, yeah, it's been almost a full year. So
oh man, how do you feel about that benchmark?
I mean, it's awesome that I've been keeping it going and we're still doing it. But I'm just aching to get it back in the theater, man.
Yeah, me too. It's a lot of fun. Though it's a little convenient for me because I don't have to travel to Huntington.
Right, exactly.
But it would be great being back in the theater with you guys, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I just want to quickly mention again this week, Hunger Ward, new documentary about starving children in Yemen. Please visit hungerward.org and click the Get Involved button so you can donate to hospitals in the Yemen area to help these kids. Very important cause. Please do so. hungerward.org. And also, you can watch episodes of Unger the Radar every Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And I want to thank my wonderful guests, Rachel Kolb, thank you. And Mr. Roran, thank you, sir. And everyone watching, we'll be back next week with more film reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Randy Unger. This has been Unger the Radar. See you next time.